Frank, in our brief conversation, I'll let you tell the story. Firearms is in the 2A community is something you've always been, very much about, right? But there's also this art side of what you do and in photography. So I'm just going to kind of set this up a little bit. So here's what I know. I spend probably way more time than I should on Instagram because, right, and our community is growing very large there, and it's awesome. I mean, I love it. There's so many connections. I mean, bottom line is these connections, we would not be sitting in this room right now had it not been for social media. As much as I loathe it, and I have this like deep internal resistance to it for a lot of the things that it is and that it does, there's also this benefit to it. And so I recognize the power and the positivity that can come out of it. And so you found a way to mix your passions, that is photography and art, with the firearms community. And I see you growing as one of the premier photographers sort of in our space. And there's not very many people like that. So I think there's sort of a big conversation we can have around the community as a whole and what you do to bring people together, which is really about what JP and I are trying to do here, which is just bring the community together, make it stronger, and share across the board knowledge and fellowship, if you will, support, and just community as a whole for all the things that word means. So maybe just give us a little bit of your background and kind of how we wound up here today. Maybe you tell the story.
Yeah. So I appreciate it. Thank you having me here. JP, we connected. I was just posting stuff and he followed along for a while and liked it and said, hey, maybe take some shots of my gear. And then we just kept talking and it went from there. But my backstory, I guess, I've always been into photography. My dad was into photography. I started doing like portrait and lifestyle photography,
which is a common place to start. Right?
Yeah, it definitely is. Especially with the whole Instagram thing and like the whole filters and everything. And yeah, so I started there. I didn't really, it just stayed as a hobby. While I just worked a normal job. I used to work at Lowe's, for years. But I've always been into, my dad was in the Marines. So I was always in the military stuff. I love the military. I love gear, guns, technology, all that stuff. And I always loved firearms. So it wasn't until the last like 5 years though that I really started getting into like training and actually going out and putting a lot of that into practice. And then 2015, I was actually diagnosed with cancer, testicular cancer I had. And I think that was like the turning point where I was like, all right, I got to do something else. It kind of paused my life for a couple of years. So I was just, still just working, trying to figure things out. I guess it paused my life for more than a couple of years. I just kind of fell into a cycle, the rat race. So COVID happened and that just kind of was like, all right, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be part of this rat race anymore. I need to do my own thing. So, I quit my job. And I just started, I started posting photos before that, but I just kept posting and, kind of led me here now. And I was just like, I'm just going to combine the two things, photography and firearms, and just see what happens. And a lot of people seem to love it.
I think a lot of people is an understatement.
Yeah, dude, I think you're like hands down one of the best at what you do, like your genre of photography. And I don't think that you would get the hundreds of thousands and millions of repost views that you get if that wasn't the case, That's pretty interesting. I didn't know that COVID drove some of this, which is something the same thing for me in my business.
Yeah, it was. I know. I heard you talk about that as well. It was weird. I guess it wasn't. It kind of just happened. I was like, I can't work here anymore with this shit. Like they were. It was crazy. You had to go 8 hours a day wearing a mask. Customers coming in yelling at you. If I was doing like freight and stuff too, and like they'd come up and ask a question while I'm sitting there throwing around boxes and stuff, sweating my ass off. I pull my mask down because I want to fucking breathe.
Right.
Yeah.
And they'll come up to me. They want to ask me a question, but they'll get mad at me for not wearing a mask. And they're like, "Can you pull your mask up? Like, do I need to get your manager?" Like,
Yeah.
And then I pull it up.
This is
standard.
this is the conversation we're having.
Yeah.
Pretty
And
standard.
then I pull it up, and then they're just like, "Oh, okay, hey." And they ask a question. This is weird. And then actually, I guess there was a few moments that happened while I was working. I would go in at 5 a.m. 6 a.m. every day. I'd wake up at 5, and like for like a week, in 1 week, I had like 3 different people come up to me at like 7:30, 8:30 in the morning, and for whatever reason, I was helping with something, and the topic came up of like when I came into work, and they were like, "You come into work at 6 a.m.?" Like, dude, I'm sorry. Like 3 people said that, and I was
Wait,
just
these
like,
are people that you work with?
no, customers.
Okay, gotcha.
They said they're like, "You come in at 6 a.m.?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, it was just normal to me. They're like, "That's like, I'm sorry, dude." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I can't do this."
Wait, the
anymore."
fucking disconnect. Hold on just a second. Like they're shocked that people start their work day at 6 a.m. in the morning.
I mean, I didn't think anything I don't like it. I'm not that much of a morning person, but yeah, that kind of like, I was like, yeah, I kind of don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, so
Because like I didn't care about the work either. It wasn't
I get it.
fulfilling.
yeah, you're not like changing anybody's
Yeah,
life
yeah.
working at Lowe's, so that can be I'm sure that can, and you're an artistic guy, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, what impact am I really making here? But God, like, it's so funny to me that people would be so disconnected. I mean, I think you said like 5 or 6 people it took before you're like, wait, something's not right
Yeah.
here. Like, because the irony in this whole thing is that, Lowe's, which does a lot of business with contractors, right? That which is the blue collar, fabric of
Right.
America. If you talk to a contractor that starts past 6 a.m. in the morning, I guarantee he's not making any fucking money. Like the whole world, the whole labor
Exactly,
union,
yeah.
every labor union in the United States of America starts at these types of hours. But you have this disconnect because people now are off work. They don't have to go to work, right? They're getting free money, right? They're working from home, whatever. No, I'm going to do that project that I always wanted to do. And they walk into Lowe's and they talk to the guy who's starting work at 6 a.m. and they feel sorry for you.
I don't know if it was just those. Like I said, it was a few people inside of a week, and I was working in the paint department at the time. Maybe that was why. I guess I wasn't getting a lot of the contractors over there. But yeah, I don't know what they were doing.
What a trip. So, okay. So you kind of come to your wit's end. There's a lot of things happening, right? So you have your own personal views, maybe political views. You've been through some challenges in your life. I mean, you mentioned the cancer thing. I mean, that's deep, dude. I mean, that's,
Yeah, that was.
I've had people in my life that have wrestled with that. And I can tell you, it takes a very, very strong person to come through and out the other side. And they're the ones that do the best, generally the ones that have some type of support system. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I was very fortunate. I didn't have to do chemo or anything. It was early. It was like pre-stage 1, whatever.
So they caught it early.
Yeah. And I had surgery, took a nut, and that was it.
These things happen.
Yeah,
right?
and that was it. I didn't have to. They said you can do chemo if you want, but it wasn't metastatic. So it wasn't necessary. They said there is a chance of it coming back, but with testicular cancer, it's such a low recurrence rate. It's not. From what my urologist at the time told me, he said it's the only cancer that's considered curative if you catch it before it's metastatic and it's removed.
So if you're going to get cancer, this is what I've heard too. Like if you're going to get cancer and they catch that one early, that's the one you want as a male.
Yeah. It's famously who's the biker, the cyclist?
Lance
Armstrong. Yeah.
His shit spread though.
He was, he found a lump, to let it go for years. He just thought it was a cyst from riding a bike so much. And his actually spread to his brain, which doesn't normally happen with this testicular cancer. And his lungs and like everywhere else. And he had a golf ball sized tumor in his head. And he's still, they took him all out and they put him on chemo and he went through hell, but he still came out. That if that was any other cancer, he wouldn't have
probably.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. What a crazy challenge. I mean,
But yeah, like I said,
you're an employee of Lowe's at this point.
yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
But
So
yeah, like I said, I was fortunate, so I didn't have to go, through the chemo and stuff. And I've been good since.
good.
Yeah.